Unit 6 still. Still doing equations. And this is day 6. So let's start off with some review, because we only missed a ton of days, and yeah. Let's get you feeling confident, since you guys just let me down. 2 people came in, watched me, and Brendan went, no. I had to count on Noah. Come on, Brendan. Noah's the one who made me look good. Thanks, Noah. I appreciate it. You're the man. You had your opportunity to make me look bad right there, and you didn't take it. That means I'm coming back again next year. Oh, man. So, inverse operations. And again, we did this on Tuesday. Do you remember that? Yeah, I don't know.
No.
But you weren't here, Macy. What are our 4 mathematical operations that we know in math that we use? What are our 4 mathematical operations? T. Good. These are the 4 operations that we use, that you will always use. There is nothing different. This is math. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's it. So each of these has an inverse or opposite operation. Okay. So what is the addition inverse, Emma? Subtraction. Nevaeh, you have your hand up.
Yeah.
Go. Huh? For what? Oh, so the subtraction inverse is addition. Well, I hadn't asked the question. You're just like, I got it. Tegan. For what? Oh, okay. I'm going to ask my... Brooke. Why? You guys aren't even letting me ask a question. Brooke, go. For division, it's multiplication. So to undo an operation, which is what the inverse operation is saying, for addition, it's subtraction. For subtraction, it's addition. For multiplication, it's division. And for division, it's multiplication. Your homework from Tuesday, we used these. And that's all we used. Okay? We only did 1-step equations that the inverse was addition or the inverse was subtraction. That's it. Okay? So now we need to go forward and do multiplication and division. I think multiplication is easy. I think division is easy as well, but I don't think a lot of students understand why it's easy. So I'm going to try to make it make sense. So let's start off with something very, very basic. 4x equals 20. And I am telling you right now that I have seen so many people miss this problem because they don't understand what operation is getting said when we say 4x equals 20. The first thing we have to understand is when there is a number smack dab up against a variable, anytime there is a number smack dab up against a variable, what operation is that? Ryan? Multiplication. This says 4 multiplied by x. Okay? Do not write this down. Do not. Just watch. I see a lot of people try to do this and subtract 4. Well, if it's 4x's, can I subtract 4 from 4x's? Are those like terms? No, because this doesn't have a variable of an x. You cannot do that. Okay, first off, you can't do it because it's not like terms. But second, that's not the operation. The operation we're trying to undo is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So Liam, what do you think we need to divide by to isolate the variable?
120.
Yeah. So from this side to isolate it, When we isolate the variable, how many x's do I want, Hunter? How many x's do we want when we isolate the variable?
4.
So you think 4 x's is isolated, that's by itself.
1.
1. We want 1x. Well, how do we get 1x? Well, we divide by 4. 4x is divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Well, that leaves me, though, with 1x. Do I need to write 1x with it? No. Macy, keep your eyes open. That's all right. Okay, so it gives me 1x. But if we divide one side of that ruler by 4, what do we have to do to the other side of the ruler? The same step. Divide it by 4. So now it has 20 divided by 4. How many times does 4 go into 20? 5.
Would you please send Joe Weiss to the office?
Jojo, have a good day. I don't need your help. Understood. Okay. It's not much harder. Let's say we've got negative 7x equals 42. Again, what happens normally is people rush through this. They split it down the middle by finding the balance point. And then I see people adding 7. That's not the inverse operation. If I said negative 7x, we know that's multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is not addition. This is not correct. So you still find the balance point. That's the first step always. What is the inverse of division? Macy, what's the inverse of division?
The inverse of division.
Or let me try, darn it, what's the inverse of multiplication?
Division.
Division. So we're going to divide. How many x's do I want, Macy? If we want to isolate it, how many x's do we want when we isolate it?
0.
So we want 0 x's.
Wait.
Ryan? 1x. How many, Macy?
1.
1x. So what do I need to divide negative 7x's by to get 1? Quick word.
7.
By 7. I'm glad you said that. So I'm going to put 7. Okay. Let's do some basic math. Negative 7 divided by a positive 7. What's a negative divided by a positive? Ryan?
Negative.
Negative. How many x's do we want? Macy?
1.
1. Does it say we want negative 1 of an x? No, so I can't divide by a positive 7. What do we have to divide by to get just 1x? Izzy? By a negative 7. Why does this work? Well, negative 7 divided by a negative 7 is positive 1. Positive 1 what? Positive 1x. So now I have x equals, do the same step to the other side. 42 divided by negative 7. Positive divided by a negative is negative 6. Questions there? Okay, you're doing one on your own. Raise your hands once you've got it. If I want to come around and check. You've got 20, actually I lied. You don't have 20. Let's go with 35 equals 5x. Show me the steps. Raise your hand once you're done. Good job. Good. Good. No. Good. No. Wait. Yes. Sorry. I was looking wrong. Good. 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 A lot of good answers. division. You set it up right. Your process is good. You set it up late. Good. Okay, so here we go. Cole, you ready? What's the first step for every equation all the time? Find the balance point. And again, not uber important for one-step equations, but it will be. Get into the habit. The goal is to isolate the isolate the variable, which means we're only focused on this side. Macy, what operation is 5x? What mathematical operation? Which one of those four? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? When we have a number smack dab up against the variable.
Isn't it? Multiplication?
Yeah, it's multiplication.
Yeah, it's
So what's the inverse of multiplication?
division.
Oh, so to undo 5 times x, we divide by 5. So to undo the 5 from this side, we have to undo it from the other side to keep it the same, to keep it balanced. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 what? 1x. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Questions on how we get that? Good? Okay, so that's multiplication. Undoing division is a little bit different, and I don't want to say it's confusing, but the understanding portion is confusing. We did properties. The multiplicative inverse. 7 multiplied by its reciprocal, which is 1/7 is 1. 3 7s multiplied by 7/3 is 1. We want it to equal 1 because the variable needs to be isolated. So if I give you the problem 4, actually not 4, if I give you the problem 1/5 multiplied by something equals 1. What would we have to multiply 1/5 by to get 1? Brooke? By 5. And could I put a big old 5 there? Sure. But our process is we put it over 1. We multiply the numerators. We multiply the denominators. Because that's 5 divided by 5. When we divide it, it gives me 1. Everybody with me with that? Well, what happens now if I say it's x divided by 5 equals 2? So now we have a problem that is clearly division. It says x divided by 5 equals 2. We start this process the same exact way. We still split it down the middle. We find the balance point. The goal is to isolate the x. How many x's do we have here? Ryan, how many?
1.
Okay, so Ryan said there's 1x. I'm going to disagree with Ryan a little bit. I would absolutely put a 1 in front of the x. But that doesn't give me 1x, that gives me 1/5 of an x. Okay? So we have 1/5 of an x. What do we have to multiply by? If we have 1/5, what do we have to multiply by to get x isolated? So to get 1x. So if we had 1/5, what did we have to multiply it by? By 5. We multiply by what's in the denominator. But notice, I'm not multiplying 5 by 5, because that's 25. That doesn't help me. But I'm multiplying 5 times 1x, which is how many x's? 5 x's. 5 x's divided by 5 is just 1x. So we're multiplying by the denominator. I do the same thing to this side. 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. How can I make sure this works? I substitute it back in. 10 divided by 5 is 2. That works perfectly. Okay, so we're taking that denominator and multiplying it. Let's try another one. Let's go x over 3 equals 4. So now we have a negative x over 3 equals 4. You still need to know what operation it is. Is it multiplication? Is it division? Is it addition? Is it subtraction? Liam, what property is there, or what operation is there in here? What is this right here? Division? Yeah. So, I split it down the middle. I've got x divided by a 3, but there's this negative sign out there. Where does the negative sign go with? The x or the 3? Does it matter? No. So I'm going to keep it with the 3. So it's really x divided by negative 3. What do we need to multiply by to get the variable isolated? What do you think, Noah? By a 3. Okay. So, Noah, I'm going to ask you a question. 3 multiplied by a negative. Is that going to be positive or negative? Negative. Do we want a negative x? Have we had a negative x at all? No, so we want a positive x. So what can I do to this 3 that you told me to multiply by so that we get a positive x? Yeah. Because this is negative, the original was negative, the number that we're multiplying by is also negative. Why? Negative 3 times x is negative 3x divided by a negative 3 is positive 1. Negative times the negative is positive. But what I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So now I have 4 multiplied by negative 3, which is negative 12. Questions there? I'm glad that we're all copying down our problems. Okay, one more. Let's go 12 equals negative x over 4. Okay. First step always, Mr. Bush. What do we have to do? Always, for every equation. Find the balance point. Okay. Kylie, what do I need to multiply by in this problem? Because this is clearly division. X divided by negative 4. What are we going to multiply by? Which one? So you said 4, right? Do you want that to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Okay. That's a good guess. Okay, it is negative. Why? Guys, I need your eyes up here. A lot of you are really distracted and you're going to really struggle. A negative multiplied by a negative is what? It's a negative is what? Positive. When we isolate the variable, we need a positive variable. So negative 4 and the negative 4 are positive. But now I have to multiply the opposite side, the other side, by that negative 4. So now I have x equals 4 times 12 is 48, but negative times a positive is negative. Questions? You copying these down, Jojo? Questions? Okay, your homework is from that same sheet. So the sheet that said one-step equations. You are doing, with the work shown, number 11 through 22. You have 10 minutes to ask for help to get it done right now. I would be glad to help you. Get going.